Somebody's left a comment on one of my videos saying that their instrument, they can't produce any noise, any sound from their instrument while playing the instrument with a Kemenche bow or a litter bow, whereas it does make sound with a violin bow. So obviously there's something wrong with, either there's something wrong with the Kemenche bow that this person's got, or they haven't put enough rosin on it. I don't think it's the instrument if it's making noise with the violin bow. So it could be a number of things. It could also be the way the person's holding the litter bow. So with a violin bow, you hold it upwards like that. You're not really placing any tension here because there's usually a tensioner on the violin bow. With the Kemenche bow, you have to put some downward pressure here. 2 fingers up the top, your thumbs here, and you're creating a bit of tension here. So there's downward pressure on here, which doesn't allow the hair to touch the wood. Some of the better ones they're making now, they're really tensioned up really tight, so you don't really have to think about putting tension here. But some of them, like this old one which I've got here, which is really loose, you do have to provide a lot of tension. I mean, it's still fine, it'll still produce sound, but you just have to, it's not a big deal, but some people, it can be annoying if you're playing for a long period to keep putting pressure here, and as you can tell here, I'm putting quite a bit of downward pressure. So the way you hold it, looking the other way, is downward with these 2 fingers, 2 on top, and that one's just resting there, or a slight variation. I don't think you could put 3, you really need 2 here to control it well, and you're playing that way. The other thing the person mentioned is that it could be the hairs of the bow hairs. So I'm leaning towards that. I mean, the person if you're watching this, as I said, try this. I'm not sure if you were holding it right. If not, I'd say it's probably the hair. Now, a lot of violin bow. This is previously a violin bow, and I've just changed put a leather handle on it. But I think these are synthetic hairs, and they're obviously made perfectly for a stringed instrument. A lot of the older ones, they used to use horsehair, and I think the person did mention that the bow has horsehair. It has to be male horsetail hair, because the female obviously urinates on the hair, and it damages it. So I mean, you just have to ask the luthier or whoever made it if the horsehair was male or female. Maybe they accidentally put female horsehair on it. I don't know. The other thing is, with some luthiers, I find, like some of the cheaper instruments that you might buy from overseas, some of them almost come out with it's almost fishing line. It's like a nylon. They're just terrible. I mean, you can, if you put enough rosin on them, you could probably get some sound out of it, but you'd really have to have a look at the bow hair. I mean, I haven't seen the bow that this person's got, but if you're holding it correctly, if you've got enough rosin on it and it's still not playing, I'd say you've got the wrong hair on it. It's probably a cheap bow. So I mean, the other thing it might be, but as I said, you produce sound out of your instrument. There's a sound post in there. You can just see it if that's dislodged. But as I said, if that's dislodged, you won't get any sound out of the instrument. But as the person commented, he is getting sound out of his instrument. So that's obvious. I'm guessing that's there. You can just shake it to see if it's dislodged or not. If it's moving around in there, it's obviously dislodged. So I've got a video on how to apply rosin to a bow, but basically you want a decent rosin. This one's a German type. You just hold it. Now, you're only playing the instrument. You don't have to put rosin here. You can just a little bit if you want, but the majority of the time you're just playing, say, from about here to here. So, probably 4 or 5 inches. So I concentrate along here the majority of the time, and just put a little bit along here. You might play some longer bow movements, so get a little bit along there, but concentrate along here. And if you do that, you should do it once before every time you play. But if you do it once a week or even once a month, it's probably all right, depending on how often you play the instrument. And if you put enough, you should get white on here, and also it starts to dislodge and settle all over the instrument. So anyway, I hope that's helped. I've got a feeling either you're holding it the wrong way, or it's probably more. I think it's probably the quality of the hairs. There could be synthetic hairs, and they could be poor quality or just nylon. So yeah, I'd suggest getting another bow if you've done the other two things, holding it and rosin, and seeing how it plays. I hope that helps.